Welcome back to another episode of Mystical Tutors, the tutors that are here to mystically guide you to all the things about Commander. I'm not going to guarantee that tagline is going to stay the same, but that's how it's working this week. Joining me, as always, is the Alpaca Tyrant and Voiden, and we're going to give them their intro right now. Ooh.
This is where the graphic comes in of thousands of dollars entering our bank accounts, right? That's how it works.
Exactly how it works.
Okay. And it's there's like a guy jogging, and then it turns and it's my face and it says Voiden. And then there's a guy like eating pasta and he looks up and it's Alpaca. And then, then it's you dropping like a mug off of a bridge, and then it looks up and it's Astralsflame.
It's exactly it, perfectly described. 10 out of 10.
There you go. There you go. If you animate that, I'll give you $20.
Just for the record, the flame's about to kill me.
Oh gosh.
Of course it is.
Now that I've bumped my mic up about 25%.
Sounds about right.
You're good. You're good.
Windows dropped it again.
Of course Windows did. So what's been new? It's been a couple weeks. How's it been?
We keep getting Magic product left and right, which is really good. If you're bored with Magic product, like I am, like I'm always bored with Magic product. So
I'm running out of money for Magic product. I had to skip the latest set.
Yeah, I was about to say, just start skipping sets.
Yeah. Don't worry. Just do what I do. Skip secret layers.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't count secret layers as a.
No,
that's fair.
Secret layers are like an occasion, and like there's only ever been one that was literally a must buy for me. Right? So like that was like the Thalia secret layer. I'm like, Thalia secret layer, I'm a Thalia player. Better buy them. Better buy two so that I can get all the arts of Thalia that I want. So I don't know.
That's fair. I think I bought Lightning Bolt and Praetors.
Yeah.
Praetors was a nice one.
My wife does this thing where she sees secret layers and then she buys them for me and doesn't tell me. So I get a secret layer. And so I have like the Lightning Bolt secret layer. I had the Valentine's Day secret layer. I have the Walking Dead secret layer. Spoiler alert, only seen one season of Walking Dead. So that was weird.
That's roughly a season more than I've seen.
Oh, okay.
That's 5 seasons less than I've seen. I've seen them all.
You've seen them all? How'd you like it?
I liked it. There were parts that were like up and down.
Did it go Game of Thrones for you?
Whatever.
It's okay.
That bar's been set high.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying like the Game of Thrones where you're at the top and then you just drop.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
like the mug that Astrals drops off the bridge during the intro sequence.
You got me. That's fair.
Yeah. You know, why are we called Mystical Tutors if we never talk about instants or sorceries?
That's a discussion for the next episode.
Yeah, the renaming episode.
But this episode is all about the parasitic mechanics in Commander. So what's a parasitic mechanic?
You might be asking yourself at home. Well, a parasitic mechanic is something that a game will introduce that relies on the game mechanics but does not contribute anything towards them. So a good example of this would be Mutate. Mutate is a fantastic parasitic mechanic, right? So the game rules don't interact with Mutate, but Mutate interacts with the game rules. I think that's a good way to put it, right, Roscoe or Alpaca?
I think so, yes. And just because I do want to mutate and sail away.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine just like being able to, I don't know, like Mutate doesn't really add anything to the game overall. You know, although you get something like cards that interact with the command zone or commanders, which would be not a parasitic mechanic.
Right.
Because of the fact that, your commander is always relevant. So
yes, but with Mutate, you can put 100 cards in your command zone.
That is technically true.
Can you get them out?
Only the commander at that point.
Oh well, hold on. You could play those like. Can you like Rift Sweeper stuff out of your command zone? Because it's technically face up in exile.
Is it in exile or is it in the command zone?
No, it's in command zone.
Yeah, those are two different zones.
Command zone is no longer considered exile.
Not as
Because
far as I was
remember
ever
back,
aware.
I thought back in, well, that's okay, whatever. That's
I could be wrong.
that's the mystical judges, not the mystical tutors.
Ah,
We're here to help you pass your judge exam.
that's our new name. We're
And
the mystical judges now. Beautiful. That's not a parasitic mechanic at all. That's a totally
No,
acceptable
that's
name
okay.
change.
So like for example, right? Gates would be considered a like gate interaction would be considered a parasitic mechanic,
Yes, bring
right?
up the thing that's coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, gates are coming back. So
Yeah, I would agree with that because it was a limited time set kind of idea with very little impact on anything except itself. And if you're interacting with it, really, it also gets frowned upon because then you're interacting with lands, and people don't like you interacting with lands.
Hmm.
well, there's remember they printed a bunch of stuff that interacts with gates that aren't actually gates. So they printed the ram.
Yep.
They printed here's a good example. If you play a card without support cards, right? So let's say you have a keyword or you have a type, right? So like you could play a human soldier, right? And it playing as a soldier is not a parasitic mechanic,
Right.
right? Like it being a soldier. I guess it's really hard to talk about parasitic mechanics, but like I feel like because like you're like, well, what's a parasitic mechanic? All right, let's boil it down. Is being tribal a parasitic mechanic? Stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, I don't know that you could actually count tribal as being parasitic though, because while it
Mhm.
is contained within the tribal archetype, there is for a majority now tribal mechanics that are available for all the tribes. So I would have said probably earlier on in the years it would have been a parasitic mechanic because there were only select sets and tribes that really had access to like a lord, a fetch, tribal instant sorceries or enchantments. Now,
Right.
more so, they're more homogenized. There is this lord for a majority of the tribes, or at least in effect of a legendary creature, like Phoenix. Like Phoenix has just got
Right.
their legendary creature, right?
So I guess what we could say is that a parasitic mechanic. Let's define a parasitic mechanic a little bit better. A parasitic mechanic would be something that's introduced in a set that has no other cards that have ever referenced or interacted with that type before, and that they must be printed with specific support to continue being used. So mutate's a good example.
Hmm.
Lessons are a good example,
Yep. Say
right?
lessons.
Learning
Foretelling. Foretelling would be another
things
one.
that yeah, so like cards or mechanics that are very specific to a set that aren't broad enough. So things that would be evergreen keywords, right? Or stuff like scry,
Hmm?
right? That is it interacts with the game rules in a positive way that doesn't require other cards to interact with it, if
100%.
that makes sense.
No, 100% that
Or
makes
other
sense.
support.
Does.
Um, Now here's so like we've kind of established what makes a parasitic mechanic a thing.
Mhm.
Not to reuse the wording, but just because a mechanic is parasitic in that it doesn't have a way to come back, it only interacts in certain ways, does that truly make it a parasitic mechanic on the game in that it actually makes the game bad or unplayable, unenjoyable?
Depend Depends how many you throw in there, right? So for
Mhm.
example, right, like we could talk about Baldur's Gate. So Baldur's Gate's out. Um we've known about this mechanic for a little while since before they announced it because they leaked it on the box. But choosing a background, right? Choosing a background is a parasitic mechanic. Is it bad for the game? Not at all. Unironically, it just lets you have a set of commanders. And again, I'm only talking about it this way because we are talking about Commander, because we are a Commander theme show.
Mhm.
Um in the state of Commander, I don't believe it to be so. Right? So like choosing a background and getting backgrounds and things of the sort, they interact outside of their zone, right? So like you could play a background in a 99.
Mhm.
You could play a background in your command zone. You don't even have to have a commander that cares about backgrounds to play a background.
Mhm.
Um, so I think backgrounds are probably the healthiest form of a parasitic mechanic we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, 100%. I would
So,
agree.
but again, once we get out of Baldur's Gate, will we ever see backgrounds again? Very rarely. Like, I don't even think we
I
would see anything close to it.
I think at best we'll see like maybe a cycle later on, but we're not going to see an actual like wave of background cards again.
Right. And it's like the idea of did you I don't know if you guys ever saw the press release for when they talked about why they're no longer doing partner. So partner was
Not.
originally a parasitic mechanic, right? So the idea that
Mhm.
you had partners that only made partners.
Right.
But what happened was that because of the evergreen of the idea of the format that you play with cards that you constantly have, every new partner that they printed power crept partners.
Mm.
So they had to decide that they either were going to do specific partner with or a keyword to make it so things could only partner with these other things, which they tried in the Stranger Things secret layer,
Right.
which
Friends
I mean didn't
forever.
really right. Or they decided to bring up something completely new, which was choose a background. Um I'm just worried that the longer that like when you introduce these new mechanics, you make these things more parasitic and you get to the part where they're no longer evergreen or they're never going to become evergreen. So
Right.
like partner was a really good thing because you got to a point where you were like, well, the partner pool grows and we get all this cool stuff and you get these interactions that may have not that were not supposed to be a thing. But now that we have these new let's find a way to make partner weaker or let's find a way to make partner like less great, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
You get to a point where like now you're going to get piles and piles and piles of stuff where people are going to be like, I look, I don't know about you guys, but I run Mecha Jiraxis with his right arm with a shotgun and his left arm with a chainsaw. Right. So like the idea is that like, you get some outrageous absurd things. Watsy, if you want to take that idea is for free, where your commander is a mech and the right hands, and then you just armored core it up and you purchase all these different things with a convoluted point system that's not included in Commander at all. So there you go. I mean, come on, we can evolve. We are a forward thinking podcast. Um, would you like to predict any parasocial or not parasocial, but parasitic mechanic, Mister Astrals, for the future? I'm thinking build your own mech in the command zone.
To be honest, as far fetched as that kind of is as a straight up idea, I could actually see that being an idea given of what we've actually seen in unsets. I don't know if it would actually be a commander product that comes out, but I could
Mhm.
100% see them doing like an unfinity or like unset with a commander idea where it's build your own commander in the command zone, stick these 5 cards together. Because they did that, right? They had the
Right,
cards that were like you could combine half this card and half this card and stitch them together. I could see
right.
that being a thing in the command zone. I
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
could.
So okay. So Mister Astrals' prediction is I can't wait to play one half of a duck with half riding a skateboard.
I just
Who
want
are
to
you?
So
say
it is duck riding a skateboard.
I would be
Who are
so
we
ready
kidding?
for.
It's going to be an Eldrazi with a dragon head.
Yeah. Please don't. Please don't. Every time that I go on stuff, I tell people never give people the idea that we want Eldrazi with, sliver Eldrazi's or anything of the
Oh,
sort. That
that's
is like
scary.
the worst thing to ever have.
100% agree.
That's how you know that they've jumped the shark.
Agreed.
So
Paco, what about you? What would be something you foresee in the future as a parasitic mechanic that could be?
Honestly, I can't say I'm 100% sure on this at all because I personally have issues predicting. It's once I can see and evaluate whatever they give me that I can really make a comment on whether it's going to be good in the long run or just a kind of flash in the pan. Hopefully, you don't want to play that in Commander later because this is your entire card pool.
So what you're
I
saying is you expect Fate Seal to finally come back.
yeah, come on, let's get Fate Steel back, please.
Uh,
What I think, look, if Eminence wasn't so poorly received, I could have seen like Vanguard emblems being in the command zone along with a commander. So I guess that's what they do with backgrounds, right? Backgrounds are essentially Vanguard emblems that you have to cast.
More or less, yeah. That's kind of the idea, because it's giving a little bit of a flushed outness to the commander in a sense, and I mean the Vanguard emblems are kind of in that same kind of way. So yeah,
Well, how long until we get Oathbreaker, where it's just literally like, legendary creature in the command zone. But if they have Spellslinger, you could put an instant or sorcery in the command zone along with them.
I don't know. That actually
Don't do
could
that.
be very well
Yeah,
possible though.
don't. Yeah, that's a problem.
I
Like,
agree. I
because
agree.
we're sorry, Raska. I don't or Alpaca. I don't mean to
Oh,
like cut you off here.
I have the dumbest thing to say, so finish what you
Go
have to
for
say
it.
first.
Oh, I was gonna say that Commander's so cool because it was this malleable space but we had this idea of what it was supposed to be. As people are pushing the boundaries of it, I almost feel like you're breaking it, and not in a good way. I'm worried that once we get an oversaturation of mechanics and an oversaturation of designing for the commander space, right? Without like guidelines, right? So like the idea of like how we have the color pie. I feel like we need like clear borders for commander of look, these things are possible, these are not.
Hmm.
If you don't set that up early, EDH is going to or commander is going to be a ridiculous format, and I think it's going to drive away a lot of the people that love it because people have this structureless structure that they love.
Agreed.
I
Go
actually
ahead.
have a weird worry that at some point in time you're going to be able to transfer that commanderness of that to something else. To deal commander damage with something that's not your commander.
Oh, so
Mm.
Like
maybe.
honestly,
Mhm.
the way I would like something like that is bring back grandeur.
That would be
When you
interesting.
cast it, it creates a token copy and the spell goes to your hand instead of resolving. But the token deals commander damage.
See, I almost want to go down the line and say it would be a bestow, where you bestow something and
That yeah.
damage
Yeah.
dealt by this creature by bestowed creature is commander damage.
I just want to see grandeur. I want to see
Yeah, I
do
know.
something in a
It was
format
in
where it's
it
like
was in
looks
Future
like it
Sight,
should be
right?
perfect for. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Future Sight. So look, the Future League has it all planned out. It's coming in Brothers War 2 Electric Boogaloo.
There you go.
So
There you go.
oh, sorry. It's coming in Brother Wars 2, even more brothers.
Oh, I'm definitely on the same boat. I'd love to see more of grandeur, especially like in the limited bit we saw, where it's just like, hey, this card does more if you discard it. Like it doesn't give it some fresh meaning. Let it do things like that because that would be pretty sweet. I'd be definitely down for that. But chatting friends and everyone watching, what would be a parasitic mechanic you think would be something coming in the future, or one you'd like to see come back to make it maybe a little less parasitic and a little more evergreen, as it were? Let us know.
Before we cut for the podcast, I would like to say I want to bring up one last topic. What is your favorite parasitic but actually not parasitic mechanic? Right? Like what on paper reads like a parasitic mechanic, but when you think about it, it's not a parasitic mechanic. Because I'll give you my answer right now. Mine is shield counters.
That's a good one.
Because shield counters are only in one set and only one thing interacts with them, but they are built to be non-parasitic.
I would probably say Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just value. You kind of sneak something in at a little bit cheaper. You get a card draw off it and it doesn't stick around. I think that's. I'd like to see Blitz. I would say Blitz.
I think I'd be down with more amplify.
Amplify's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, what happened to
Uh,
forecasting?
uh,
Sorry,
uh,
go ahead.
It's just especially now that we're in how often do we have a standard season now that doesn't have 2 or 3 different tribes running, where Amplify would be fantastic?
Right.
Can definitely agree. Can definitely agree.
I think the problem is that as stuff grows, like all this stuff that we love is just getting power crept out of existence because people want faster games, people want more impactful games, and the best way to do that is to give a mechanic and try something wacky, and then when it doesn't work, they release a new mechanic that fixes it.
Yeah, and that's a design philosophy kind of situation, unfortunately.
I mean, I will have to say for parasitic mechanics though, new Capenna is probably the best non-parasitic mechanic set that we've had. All of the things that might be parasitic are do not feel that way whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely would agree. Well,
So,
everyone, that's our view on the parasitic mechanics that may or may not be parasitic. We are your mystical tutors. You can check us out wherever you like, but I'll turn it over to Pocket to start us off, where the fine people can find you.
Twitch.tv/the Alpaca Tyrant, or at Rosca on Twitter.
Awesome, awesome. Mr. Voiden?
you guys, you can find me on twitch.tv/Voiden, or you can find me on Twitter at Voiden.
Awesome, awesome. Friends, you can find me all over the place at Astralsflame. We'll be back again next week with our next topic, figuring out a new name and something else Commander related. Until then, the Mystical Tutors are signing off.